Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Room. We're here with another interview in our podcast series. We are going back to the States today. We have the alternative, the best thing in wrestling. We have the one, the only, Anthony Greene. How's it going, my man?
What's going on? I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, we finally got this podcast sorted.
Yeah, I was gonna say we finally made it happen.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm really glad that it happened because our schedules are finally lined up. Since I initially got in touch with you to come on to the show, I've actually had two guests on the channel who have both sung your praise, and that was LJ Cleary and we had Donovan Dijak on the channel as well. And both of them could not praise you enough.
I'll have to go back and listen to him because I love when people compliment me. Yeah. So if you want to do that during this interview as well, like more than welcome.
I could have thought of that. I should have done that. But I promise to you, they definitely said good things. How long have you known both of those?
So I've known Donovan Dijak since before he even had his first match. I met him in maybe April of 2013.
Mm.
And I know his career better than he does. He made his debut 1 month later in May. We actually made our debuts almost to the same date at the same place, but 1 year apart. I made my debut May 6th, 2012 for a place called Wrestling Star Wars, which later became Atlantic Pro Wrestling. And then he made his debut somewhere around that early May date, but at Kids Fest in Haverhill, Mass for Atlantic Pro Wrestling.
Mm.
But yeah, I've known him, yeah, well over 10, 12 years now. And LJ, so I guess I met him in the UK,
Mm.
and I did not know we were on the same show. The only show I did in England was for TNT.
TNT. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right before the pandemic hit. And I guess he had uh uni that day. So he went to school, got on a plane, arrived while the show started, and then wrestled and then had to get back on the plane because he had a show the next day in Ireland, I think.
Yeah.
Uh Something like that where we were not together very long. I'm not even sure if we like properly introduced ourselves that time.
Right.
So I say that we officially met October of 2023 in Japan, actually, when we both did the same tour of Pro Wrestling Noah. I was actually his first match in Pro Wrestling Noah,
Right.
where he turned on his tag, we joined the good
Good
looking
looking
guy.
guys.
Yeah, and we became friends ever since.
Amazing. I've got some clips actually together of the match with Dijak because he couldn't praise this match enough. He said that it's one of his favorite matches that he's had since he left WWE and went back to the US Indies. So we got to talk about this match with him. What do you remember about this match? It was Beyond Wrestling.
Yeah, I remember that it hurt really bad. Um, he is easily the most physical opponent I've ever wrestled. You can see there just the way he throws those clotheslines and those chops. Um, there's no off button on Dijak. Um, I wish there was a bigger audience for the show. We were main event. It was a long event, but I thought we gave them a hell of a main event. It's actually, I think, both of our longest singles matches we've ever had. We went a little over 26 minutes.
Mm.
Um, Believe it or not, I haven't wrestled much longer. Rare moonsault right there for Anthony. Not so rare from him, but very. So that clip right there that you just saw.
The midday cutter.
So is that from the actual match? Like, is that what's on the YouTube clip? Because the live stream, a completely different angle of that
Oh
move.
wow.
I had to beg and plead IWTV for that footage because I knew the hard cam would obviously catch the move. But that was, I want to believe that is the craziest cutter variant, RKO variant in professional wrestling history. You can quote me on that. I'm not sure there were many crazier, but maybe one or two. Jordan Oliver actually did a pretty nuts one with Andrew Everett in CZW. I think that was in 2018.
Mm.
Um, but if that's number one, then ours is definitely a very, very, very close number two. But yeah, that match was awesome. Definitely one of my favorites as well. Just the way he challenges you mentally when like putting a match together and physically when you're actually doing the match. I don't think anyone else has put me to the test like that uh previously or after the fact, like both of those things together. Um yeah, I can't say enough good things about Donovan Dijak. We actually train together every Wednesday. We run classes together here in Massachusetts at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. So if you're local and you want to learn how to wrestle, or if you're already a trained wrestler and you want to yes, brush up on your abilities, every Wednesday from 6:30 to 9 we run class together. The New England Pro Wrestling Academy in North Andover, Massachusetts.
Oh, we'll put a link down in the description as well, 100%. Um, we've been lucky enough on this channel. As we were saying before the podcast started, I've been lucky enough to do interviews in different countries. We've been to Japan, obviously LJ's in Ireland. We've done some in the UK, the US, Singapore. But you've recently done a tour or a show at least in India. Um,
Yes.
and it was, I'll get the name right. I went to say it and I chickened out. It's I know it WXM.
That's it.
There we go, yes. I went to say it and I thought, "Oh, no, I'm gonna get the initials the wrong way round." Yeah, what was it like, wrestling there? Because 'Cause we've only seen, different, like, little snippets that they put up and, like, obviously the promo photos of different people that they've got over. But what was it like going to, like, a brand new scene?
Oh, so I didn't know what to expect when I got there, and, when I arrived, I was immediately gifted with flowers, just, like, what a way to enter a new country. I just had a bunch of people coming up to me, asking me questions. They had a camera in my face right away, asking me if I was excited to come to India. The answer was obviously yes. But I was not sure what to expect. I knew they wanted to film television, which is the goal. We wrestled for 3 days. We filmed 2 months worth of wrestling television. Um, when that's coming out to be announced, but they are definitely working on things. They actually have a live event coming up in Mumbai on May 2nd. I will not be there for that, but a lot of the foreign talent that they brought in will be in action, and then as well as all of their Indian wrestling talent. And man, so I'm not sure how long the school has officially been open, but this was the first set of TV tapings, and I'm not sure if they've run many live shows before, but it's run by Jeet Rama, who was in the Performance Center. If you go back and watch the Superstar Spectacle, he actually had a singles match with AJ Styles.
I do care.
And then one of the head trainers is a guy named Guru Raj, who wrestled Finn Balor on that same PLE. So they have like very good people teaching these new wrestlers, how to wrestle. I mean, the only professional wrestling training Guru Raj and Jeet have is from the WWE Performance Center. So who better to learn from in India, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and all of the guys are really talented. Guys you want to look out for. You want to look out for Venomous, and you want to look out for Kevin. There's a really entertaining guy named Dev. Uh, I could go on and on about a bunch of the guys and girls that are there, but specifically, I would say those three really stuck out to me. Kevin more than any of them. I mean, the guy can do springboard 450 splashes. He can dive out of the ring. He had a few very very good matches. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say who he wrestled, so I won't. But I would go out of your way to watch Kevin's matches when they at some point do come out.
Oh, me?
So
Yeah.
Russell first.
There you go. Um, going back way back to the start, so even before you started your wrestling career. What first got you into wrestling? Is it the same story as everyone else? Was it just like becoming a fan as a kid?
Yeah, that's probably what it was, but if you wanna talk about, like, the moment that I knew I could become a pro wrestler,
Mm.
it was watching Tough Enough season 1.
Right, okay.
I was probably 7 years old, turning 8, and, Maven is actually my childhood favorite wrestler because he's the first person I ever saw go from not being a pro wrestler to being a WWE superstar.
Right.
Thought that was the coolest thing. His story was incredible. Excuse me. And like I said, just seeing him be a normal, 3rd grade teacher and then go from that to being, in the Royal Rumble eliminating Undertaker, then going on to hardcore title or defending the hardcore title, losing the hardcore title, and then re-winning the hardcore title at WrestleMania 18. He gained a fan for life. Still a fan of Maven to this day, especially his YouTube channel. Um, yeah, that's really what it was. It was just tough enough. Season 1 made me think like, oh, I can do this. Like they're showing me how to bump. They're showing me how to hit the ropes. Once I turned 13, this is actually when I found my first wrestling school. So it was only, a couple of years later, 6, 7 later.
I think Maven's one of the it's an odd one because a lot of people didn't speak about him for a long time. But like you said, he was quite influential because watching that first series, we like as fans, as kids, we'd never seen behind the scenes like that before. Now there's footage that is more readily available. But for kids era, we'd never seen things like that before. And I think he's finally getting his flowers now with his YouTube page, which is doing phenomenally well.
So it's interesting because you look at all the winners of Tough Enough. When you think of, or even people that have been on Tough Enough that would go on to have careers in WWE, like most of them aren't around anymore. Most of them don't wrestle at all. And the ones that are still around the business, you don't think of them as tough enough people. When you think of John Morrison or Johnny Elite or whatever name he's using, Johnny TV,
Possibly now.
whatever name he's using, when you think of him, you don't think the winner of Tough Enough season 3.
No,
When you think of Miz, you don't think of the guy that was on $1 Million Tough Enough.
no.
But when you think of Maven, you think of Tough Enough.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty cool thing as well. When you think Tough Enough, you think Tough Enough Maven.
Well, that's it, and he took the theme tune and everything, you know? Yeah, he was
What a great song.
still brilliant.
It makes me upset he hates it as a theme song. Who thinks it's a song but not a good theme song, and I totally disagree with him on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a great theme song. Um, you spent, just under a year in WWE. It was predominantly, the 205 brand at the time. What was your experience like there?
Oh man. Oh, there I am doing my little spin. Um so 205 Live, I think, was a blessing for me because I got to work with 2 guys that were extremely experienced with live TV wrestling, and that is, Arya Davari and Tony Nese. Sorry, I'm, like, half talking, half watching my own series. There's me and Davari there, there's me and Tony Nese. But, yeah, those are guys that were wrestling live on Monday Night Raw right as, like, the 205 Live show started. Um, Tony Nese won the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania. They both wrestled on WWE pay-per-views and just I think getting to work with them and learning like how TV time works, how replays work, and just like, all right, you have 12 minutes and that's curtain to curtain. That's from your entrance to your glory shot at the end. I think they helped me so much at getting comfortable if and when it was time to go on to NXT or maybe one day go on to the main roster. I think they made me one, a better wrestler, but two, a better television wrestler. So I have a lot to thank to both Arya Davari and Tony Nese.
What was a lot of the feedback like, when you go backstage, from those appearances?
Um, wow. Sometimes I wouldn't get feedback.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
occasionally William Regal would, tell you, hey, make sure you pin the shoulders down
Mm.
on all your pinfalls and stuff like that. Um, maybe your coaches, whoever like was your producer for the match might have a little bit of feedback, but I don't think anything off the top of my head comes off as like, oh, this was very specific feedback I was given in that moment.
Mm.
Um, One thing I do remember is 205 Live didn't have commercial breaks. And I remember one time I was wrestling Arya Davari, and we did a spot where he wanted to treat it as if we were gonna do a crash to break, which is the big thing that explodes right before, "Oh, we'll be right back after this commercial break."
Right.
And we just wanted to, like, practice that. He wanted, to show me how that kind of moment in a match would work. So that's something I took away from it, but I guess that's not really feedback. That was just, like, a useful tip that I got out of working with him.
Because you started and it was during that crazy time that everyone felt during the pandemic years. Um I always wondered, do you feel like your career in either 205 or NXT, because there was kind of, I think maybe you had one or two matches, maybe NXT, something.
Yeah.
Um, do you think your time would have been drastically different if it was pre-COVID or after COVID? Or do you think it would have played roughly the same?
That is an impossible question.
Yeah.
I'll being honest. There's so many variables. I got hired because of COVID. Like, that's why I ended up getting a job. They needed people. They wanted experienced indie wrestlers, and obviously being a part of Evolve played a huge part in me getting there. Um, yeah, it's tough to say because there are people that got hired after me, like when things started opening up, that also didn't get long careers. Um, so there's no way to say that it was because of the pandemic that I got released, or it wasn't the pandemic, or it was change in direction. They used the term like they didn't use this with me, but they say like it could have been because of financial reasons or X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
I don't think if I was there before or after or during, it's not fair to say if I would still be there or if I would have been
Mm.
gone sooner or later or what. Yeah, it's very, very, very hard to say. The one thing I can say is I'm very thankful I got to work for the WWE, even for the short period I did. I do feel like I got slighted. I'm not sure if that's the word I want, if that's the correct word, but basically, because it was COVID, it just wasn't the same PC. I didn't have like a key fob that I could, pop in and out anytime I want. They were very, very, very cautious of COVID-19. So I didn't get I guess I would say I just didn't get the full performance center experience. But I'm very happy with the experience I got, nonetheless.
Because even like in the clips we saw then, you're performing in front of the screens instead of like the people there. So you didn't get the full, because people always talk about that full sale experience, and
I
things like
think
that.
the max that I wrestled in front of, like towards that tail end in like June 2021 was maybe like 200-ish people, maybe
Mm.
250. But those clips that you saw, I think they were only allowing like 100 to 150 people in there. And I'm being generous. Like I'm not sure the exact number, but it wasn't a lot. They were very cautious about who they let in. There was testing involved, the whole nine.
You also had a brief run of matches for the biggest company, the other biggest company in the US, AEW, on the Dark Show at the time. Um, what was that experience like as well, and how did it kind of differ to that 205 experience for you?
So I got very lucky. Not only did I get to do Dark a handful of times, but I also got to wrestle on Dynamite twice. Live Dynamite. So you see there clips of me and Adam Cole, me and Dan Garcia. What's really cool that also people don't know is actually right here. I got a pinfall victory on AEW Dark, and that is what led me to do an in-ring segment with Tony Schiavone, which led to my match with Adam Cole, which I thought was really cool. Um, I'm not gonna say it's much different, honestly. Because they're both taped shows. 205 Live was taped.
Mm.
minus the name, live. And then AEW Dark was taped. They were both filmed in Orlando, Florida, which funny enough. And then, yeah, they were just both, I guess, still high pressure situations for me. I mean, I got to wrestle some really like top dogs in AEW. My debut was against FBR. I got to do a singles match with Adam Cole, obviously. I did a singles with Tony Nese, funny enough. And then even like my two appearances on Dynamite, I got to wrestle in a six-man tag against Moxley, Darby Allin, and Eddie Kingston. And then I got to do a singles match with Bobby Fish as well, where actually after the match, CM Punk came out and saved the day.
Mm.
So,
I think I've heard you say before that Tony Khan actually approached you and said that he was a fan of your style beforehand, and that's why he brought you in. Um, did you have a feeling at that time that they maybe would have led to a longer deal, or was that something that wasn't really on the table? It was just for these particular shows.
I am not sure, honestly. Yeah, after my match with FTR, he came up to us and was like, "I'm a huge fan of you guys. I loved your stuff in 205 Live, XYZ." And then actually when I wrestled Daniel Garcia, he told us after the match, he goes, "Oh, I wanted to see this match live because I liked what you guys did on
Mm.
the indies for Limitless Wrestling." Because him and I had two matches there. So like Tony Khan, I don't know how he has the time to do it, but
Right.
like, he watches independent wrestling. He clearly watches WWE product as well. Um, and he watches a lot of wrestling clearly as a fan, which I think is really cool that he hasn't like lost that part of the, I guess, lost that love for pro wrestling. Like that's a very important thing to have. And if you can still take away like, hey, I own a major wrestling organization and I can still separate that from my love of watching wrestling as a fan, I think that's really neat. But I'm not sure there was ever a time, there was definitely never a conversation where they're like, "Oh, you're getting hired," or, "Oh, sorry, this is all you're gonna do." It just kinda just how the ball kept rolling.
Mm. You also got to compete after that for over, well, was it near 2 years or was it just over 2 years? Around that time for Pro Wrestling Noah as well. Um, Going from, obviously TV tapings and things like that in the States to go into Pro Wrestling Noah, which was, I would have thought it was very different experience. What was it like trying to adapt to that kind of scene there?
So what's cool is they still are, like, obviously, there's, like, their house shows and stuff, like, the footage you're seeing there from Cork and Hall and stuff, like, that's live on ABEMA, which is a very big streaming service in
Mm.
Japan. So we were still basically on TV.
Right.
And I felt that, like, television pressure, which is good. I like that pressure. I think I do better under pressure. And then obviously all, like, the big pay-per-views and stuff. Um but yeah, Pro Wrestling Noah was a completely different experience. I mean, you're wrestling in a completely different country. It's a completely different style that you're wrestling against. But a mistake I think a lot of people make going there is they try to wrestle the Japanese style when you're there because you are a good wrestler at your own style. So that's the one thing I think I somewhere where I think I benefited is that I never changed who I was as a performer. I still wrestled a very American wrestling style and like I guess a TV wrestling style mixed in with my cool innovative wrestling moves, I guess. But yeah, completely different. I got very lucky. My first two matches, my first match was against another foreign wrestler, Stallion Rogers, and then my second one was a 10-man tag where I was teaming with all foreigners.
Mm.
So I kind of felt like I got eased in nicely, and then after that, I was like thrown into the shark cage where my next match after that was Cork and Hall. It was me and Stallion Rogers against Atsushi Katoge and Kojima. So yeah.
What was it like wrestling in Corrigan Hall? Because it's one of those kind of mythical venues. You think of like say the Madison Square Gardens and stuff, you know, they're much bigger, but or the Hammerstein Ballroom, for instance, you know, these specific venues all around the world that have this like special name to them, and Cork and Hall is definitely one of those.
Yeah, so I don't think I really so obviously when I wrestled at Corkin the first time, I felt like, "Whoa, this is a big deal." But that was still during COVID in Japan. So, like, it was
Right.
limited seating, I think. You could look up the numbers on Cage Match. That first few Korikens, I probably only wrestled in front of maybe 400 or 600 people, which is
Mm.
not great for a Korakuen Hall, but, like, that's all you could do during COVID. Because it was, like, every other seat, and everyone still had to wear masks. They weren't allowed to make noise with their mouths. You can only clap.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Weird. It was a very weird time. So my first proper Korakuen Hall experience wasn't until so that was July 2022. So February 2023 was my first, like, proper Korakuen Hall experience. Um And yeah, the crowd was buzzing, and honestly, every Korakuen Hall after that was crazy. Every single one I've done, I've got to wrestle in front of a sold out Korakuen Hall at least 4 or 5 different times, and then if it wasn't sold out, there's been a ton of times where it was close to sold out, and those are some of the best overall experiences of my life and where I've had some of my best matches of my entire career.
Like, I personally think you really found your feet in Noah, and especially with the group we mentioned it earlier, the Good Looking Guys unit, because you won the GHC tag titles as well in the promotion with Jack. This Jack Morris. I always get their first names muddled up. Jack, sorry, I always did it again. Jake Lee and Jack Morris, and
You're not the only person that
every time I go to say it, I mix them up. Um, was this the first, like, proper stable that you were a part of?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Mm.
was. Yeah, like, that I can think of, like, the first time where I've, like, worn a very specific T-shirt. Like, I've been in a million tag teams and, like, different thrown together groups, like, on the indies, but, yeah, this was definitely the first time where I was like, "You guys are branded as this."
Mm.
Yeah.
What was it like working with those lot? You know, bouncing ideas, trying to, get this new faction over?
Yeah, so Jake Lee was our in kayfabe, our leader, but he was also, like, a real leader to us as well. Like, he took me and Jack in right away. First time we ever teamed was like all together was in Yokohama for Great Muda's retirement show. And that night he goes, next week, us three, we're gonna get dinner together. Like, always took us out, always invited us to stuff, made us feel welcome. Because even though at that point it was both of our second tours, he just wanted to make sure we were as comfortable as possible in a foreign country. And then as we added more members, because after that in March we added Tadasuke and Yohei, all five of us would do stuff constantly. We would set up trainings where we would go to training and then we'd practice. All right, this is how our if we're gonna run a train on a person in the corner, like this is how the move set should look like. All right, if we're gonna do this, this is how it should look like. This is what our aesthetic should look like. Our entrance should look like this. Then after that, we'd always go out to eat, and then we added LJ to the group, and we would do that with all six of us. Um, so it was like a genuine it was a wrestling group, but it was a genuine bond. Like we were all in like a group chat together, suggesting ideas and stuff. So it was more than just what you'd think of like a pro wrestling faction was. Like they really did take all of us in and it became like a legitimate friendship.
Do you have any more plans at the moment to return to Japan?
Oh, none as of right now, no. I'm gonna stay, I don't wanna say I'm gonna stay local because I do a lot of traveling still, but, like this weekend, I'm not sure when this is coming out, but this weekend I'm gonna be going to Canada. I'll be going back to India very soon for WXM. Plus, I got bookings all across the United States. I'm gonna be going back to NWA Exodus. And I have a bunch of stuff from Maine all the way down to, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland. I'm staying very busy right now, but, as of right now, Japan is not, in the cards, I guess.
Okay. Now you're back on the US Indies at the moment. How different is it now since you've like been away to Japan and now you've come back? How different is it now to when you first started on the American indie scene?
Ooh. A lot of fresh faces. A lot of the people that I started with, or would be on shows with regularly, either don't wrestle anymore or they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, on national TV.
Okay.
Um, and then like just the new scene, everyone is so much younger than me. It's insane. Um, Someone called me Unk. Oh no, I did not like that at all. I did not Unk. And then someone else responded, "No, he's OG." I'm like, "No, that's worse. Don't. I'm not original gangster either." Right? But yeah, just all the guys are so much younger now, and all the girls are so much younger now, and everyone is just getting so talented and getting so good so fast. It is crazy. Like you see someone like Marcus Mathers. I mean, obviously he's been doing it a bit now, but he's less than, I think 5, 6 years in, WWE like prospect and all that. Brad Baylor just turned 20 years old and like he's doing crazy things. He's also part of the ID program as well. And then you just have like all these people, Starboy Charlie, LJ Cleary's been wrestling like 10 years and he's 25 years old. Uh, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm about to hit my 13-year anniversary, and I thought I started young. I started wrestling on shows at the age of 18. Um, but no, these guys are starting training at 15 or 16 now. I mean, technically, I started training at 13, but these guys are having matches at 15 and 16 years old, which is insane to me. But yeah, man, that's probably the big difference. Just there's a lot of fresh, young talent that I feel like now I have to keep up with. Still deliver every time, by the way. Not Unk. Yeah.
Yeah, please don't tag Unc or OG.
Other so, I did wanna mention, like, compared to Japan, Japan's a very tag territory, very tag so, it's also, like, wrestling here has been harder on the body because here you're doing, 15-minute, 20-minute singles matches, 2, 3 times a weekend, as opposed to in Japan, you're doing 8-man tags, 6-man tags every night, and then you have the rare singles match. And even on a house show, singles match, if you're not higher on the card, you're only wrestling for 8 to 10 minutes. So I guess body wise, it's much tougher. It's much tougher on me.
I guess winning those GHC titles must have meant a lot to you because, like you said, it is very tag orientated. The country. How long before winning those titles did you know that you were going to be having a run with the GHC titles?
I didn't know a damn thing. I wish I did. I had like guesses in my head. So I was kind of like looking at myself. And I remember we had a 6-man tag. It was me, Jack, and Jake versus Real, which is Hideki Suzuki, Saxon Huxley, and Timothy Thatcher. And Saxon and Tim were the tag champs at the time. And I'm like, oh, we're wrestling them. If we pin one of them, then we get a shot at the tag belts at the next big show, which was only like 2 or 3 weeks away. And I'm like, ah, I think Timothy Thatcher and Saxon are both leaving for like 2, 3 months. So they don't want to have the tag belts if they're not going to be around. And I said, Jack, you're only leaving for 3 weeks. I'm going to be here the whole time. I think we're going to win the belts. I think it's happen. And I was right. I was right. We ended up winning the tag belts in Nagoya, September 24th. I'll remember that date forever. September 24th, 2023. Me and in the 66th GHC Tag Team Champions.
You even know what number you are as well.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be crazy if I looked back and I was like, "Oh shoot, it wasn't September 24th," but I'm almost positive it was, and we are definitely the 6th Tag Team Champion.
Wow. You we briefly mentioned earlier about coming to the UK. You had that one match with TNT. I did look it up. I can't for the life of me think who it was. Wasn't Robbie X? Oh,
Yeah.
it was. Okay. Um, Robbie X, one of those unsung talents as well that we have in this country. He's doing well at the moment in the Bullet Club as well. Um, You only had that one match, and like you said, it was on the line of that first lockdown and everything. It was that weird point, March 2020. Did you have other dates booked over here, or was it was just that one shot that you came over for?
I wasn't even originally scheduled to wrestle on that show. It was me, Joe Gacy, and DJ Hyde. We were supposed to just announce, I think, a deathmatch tournament. We were just have a special announcement. We weren't planned to wrestle, but then the night before, like flights started getting canceled. People started pulling off, so they needed people. So me and Joe Gacy both ended up wrestling on the show. I was in the tournament for like the cruiser, whatever they called their cruiserweight title. And ended up wrestling Robbie X. But no, that was the only scheduled appearance at the time. The next day I flew out and wrestled in Germany for WXW. And we were meant to do a tour. CZW was meant to do a tour of Germany in November that year, October or November. But obviously none of that I ended up happening. But no, I was not scheduled to go back to the UK, but I was scheduled to go back to Europe.
Do we have any plans as of yet to come back to the UK? Maybe do a full tour at some point?
I would love to. There's some things I wanna check off the bucket list, and one of them is doing I wanna do, like, a proper camp, like, around the shows. Um, and then, obviously, I've never wrestled for Rest, I've never wrestled for Rev Pro, like, those are places I wanna go. There are a bunch of people in the UK that are like, "Just get out here, you'll find work, it'll be easy." I'm very old school where I want to be, I wanna be brought out, and it's very tough a promotion to do. Um, but maybe one day I will try to make it like a 3-week or a month tour and try to get as much work as possible and throw some seminars in there as well. But no, at the right now, there's nothing scheduled for me to go to the UK, but I would like to do it.
It's funny you mentioned the camp shows because it's they have such a what's the right phrasing? They have such a weird, almost stigma to them sometimes. A lot of people don't like them. They see them as a bit campy and whatever. But a lot of people love that, you get to wrestle every single day in front of a new audience every single day. It is a different type of audience, that kind of family vibe. And, so many people have come to the ranks of those camp shows and they've just found it invaluable. If somebody like Brian Danielson could do those camp shows and say that he learned so much on them, I can't see why they could ever have a bad rep to them.
No, for sure. And I think it's just like I've heard stories of a bunch of people, both on like interviews and like people that I know personally that have done them. And I just think it's like it's such a unique experience and it's something that doesn't exist here in the US.
Mm.
And the UK as of right now is the only place that you can really do that, like where it's just I hate to use the word campy wrestling, but I guess that like more family friendly, like you don't have to kill yourself out there, and you get so much experience doing it. And even now, like I said, 13 years in, it would still be a completely different kind of experience that I've never really got to do before.
I think it would be an unbelievable get for something like All Star or something to have you on there. I think you would do really, really well on that scene as well. And like you said, you learn so much and it'd be something completely different. Before we let you go, Anthony, what are your main goals and almost like aspirations for the rest of this year now?
I would really like to I'll start with, I guess, kind of like wrestling, but non-wrestling goals. I'd really like to grow my YouTube channel a bit more. I do like vlogs and stuff, and I have some other cool content I'm gonna be making very soon that will be uploaded very soon. Um, I've recently been posting some training videos that have been doing pretty well on my Instagram, and I think I want to like really dive into that and show people what I can offer as a trainer. You know, I do a lot of training, seminars, and like I said, I help run training every Wednesday night at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. Another cheap plug. But other than that, I guess I really want to just do this as long as I can. Um, Hopefully get a contract somewhere again. That'd be a main goal. I've hit my 28th state last month, and I would like to hit 30 this year if I can. That'd be pretty cool. I made my MLW debut recently, so I'd like to possibly go back to Major League Wrestling. Recently wrestled for NWA Exodus, and I would love to. I'm already confirmed to go back to NWA Exodus next month, but I would also like to maybe wrestle for some of the other territories or even do NWA Power for Billy Corrigan. Um, and yeah, man, like I have actually like March and April have been two of the most fun months that I've had in a very long time. Um, just, hitting new goals, doing different things, wrestling in new countries, wrestling in new states, all that stuff. So I just guess I want to continue to do that. Just have as much fun as possible and not worry as much about the destination, but enjoy the ride to it.
To me, as an outsider, and I hope it doesn't come across as in a negative way because I mean it in a positive way. And this almost feels like a second half to your career because now you've hit all the big TV shows in the US. You've traveled the world. Now you're back on the US Indies, so it's kind of like a new starting point again. But this kind of feels like it's going to be the second half. Does that make
Yeah.
sense to you?
It's like a resurgence almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like I was away for so long, for like nearly 2.5 years off and on in Japan, but I feel like I gave people enough time to, I don't want to say forget me, but maybe miss me. And now that I'm back, I remember actually I would always like complain to like my friends in my group chats, like, oh, why am I not getting any opportunities in the US? And the truth is, it's because I didn't spend enough time in the US. But here I'm getting those opportunities. I was like, ah, damn, these are the ones I should have got a long time ago. So it's good that it just took me being around for a little bit to do the things that I've wanted to. And I'm hoping to continue to do those things throughout the rest of the year.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm glad that we finally got these schedules locked in and matched up. Obviously, good luck to all the upcoming dates that you have booked. Everybody, obviously, check out that wrestling school that you run with Dijak as well. I mean, that school, they're learning from two pretty good talents there.
Thank you.
That's all right. We will do a proper goodbye in a moment as we sign off the show here. Guys, another great interview that we've got on the channel now. It's always great to visit different parts of the world. And obviously Anthony has been on WWE, he's been on AEW. And like I said, this really does feel like to me that this is going to be the turning point and this is going to be the second part of the career. And he mentioned it himself. This is going to be the resurgence now. And I'm really looking forward to chapter 2 now. I feel like it's going to be some exciting times ahead. But guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below and look after each other, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.